The year was 1978. A young folklorist named Elias Walker was drawn to the remote mountain village of Ashton after hearing rumors of bizarre tales being whispered among its locals. But upon arrival, he found a town frozen in time, seemingly untouched since the Great Depression. Days turned into weeks as Elias delved into the town's eerie secrets, uncovering a history of violence, witchcraft, and satanic cults. As twilight deepened into night, he heard disembodied whispers echoing around him, carrying snippets of conversations from days gone by. One day, while exploring the mist-shrouded woods, he stumbled upon an abandoned cabin with strange symbols carved into its doorframe. Each mark was identical to ones he had seen in ancient texts, said to ward off evil spirits. Had this house once been used for dark rituals? Suddenly a raven cawed loudly, startling him as if it were mocking his fears. Days passed, each one colder than the last. Elias sought shelter in the town's only pub, warming himself by the hearth as he listened to locals spinning yarns of a creature that haunted the surrounding hills. Known only as the Dark Watcher, it was described as a tall, gaunt figure cloaked in darkness who seemed to appear and disappear at will. Many believed it to be the devil himself come to claim their souls. The more he learned about the town's folklore, the more uneasy Elias felt. There was a darkness here, something ancient and evil stirring beneath the surface. He could sense it in the shadows that seemed to writhe and twist, taking on shapes just beyond his perception. One evening, the pub's radio crackled to life, broadcasting a chilling message. Beware the coming darkness. It hungers for your souls. Static drowned out the rest, leaving behind an eerie silence. Was this a warning or a threat? As the villagers exchanged fearful glances, Elias knew he had uncovered something sinister. He had awakened a slumbering evil. Now, fleeing into the foggy night, he raced through the dark woods, branches whipping at his face, desperate to escape the growing darkness. But the deeper he went, the more the forest seemed to close in around him. Then he heard a voice, a raspy whisper slithering through the trees. Run, Elias, run. Panic seized him. Who was there, and how did they know his name? Turning, he saw a dark shape emerge from the fog, beckoning for him to follow. With a pounding heart, he did as he was told, led deeper and deeper into the forest's dark embrace. In the distance, flickering firelight spilled through the trees like spilled blood. Hope surged through Elias. Perhaps help was near. Pushing aside a heavy branch, he gasped. Before him stood a clearing, and within it a circle of villagers performing a terrifying ritual. Their leader, a wizened old woman with eyes like burning coals, raised a dagger high above her head. Tonight we feast on the flesh of the living, she cackled, her voice echoing with an unearthly power. Bring forth the sacrifice. They turned, their faces twisted in grotesque smiles, revealing teeth that were far too sharp and numerous to be human. Elias screamed, scrambling back. Suddenly the Dark Watcher loomed over him, its presence suffocating all hope. It is too late, child, it rasped, its voice like grinding stones. You have stumbled into a nightmare from which you shall never wake. The villagers surged forward, their eyes gleaming with a predatory hunger. Terror lent Elias speed as he fled. Crashing through the underbrush, he ran blindly, desperate to escape their clutches. But the forest seemed to have no end. Branches tore at his clothes, thorns ripped at his skin, but he dared not slow down. He could hear their heavy footsteps pounding the ground behind him, gaining on him. Then he tripped, sprawling onto a cold, hard stone. Scrambling to his feet, he looked back, his heart sinking. The clearing and the villagers were gone, vanished as if they had never been. The forest was silent, save for the wind whispering through the trees, shaking and bleeding. Elias stumbled onward until he came across a dirt road. Relief flooded him. He had escaped, but as he turned to continue on, a dark figure blocked his path. It was the Dark Watcher, its eyes boring into his soul. You cannot escape, it whispered, its voice echoing with amusement. The nightmare follows you even now. With that, fleeing again, Elias ran until his lungs burned and his legs screamed for mercy. Just when he thought he might collapse from exhaustion, he saw a faint light in the distance. Hope surged through him. He stumbled toward it, desperate for help. As he drew closer, he realized it was a small cabin, its windows glowing with an inviting warmth. He could hear the murmur of voices coming from inside. Rushing to the door, he pounded on it, gasping for breath. Please, let me in, he begged. Help me. The door swung open, revealing a kindly old woman. Startled by his wild appearance, she stepped aside, allowing him to enter. Grateful for the respite, Elias sank into a chair by the fire, his body aching with exhaustion. The woman, sensing his terror, brought him water and helped him clean his wounds. As he sipped the water, he noticed strange symbols painted on the walls, similar to those he had seen on the cabin in the woods. Concerned, he asked the woman about them, but she only shook her head slowly. Some things are best left undisturbed, she said cryptically. Over the next few days, Elias stayed in the cabin, recuperating from his ordeal. He shared what he had seen and heard, expecting disbelief. But the woman listened intently, her expression grave. When he finished, she spoke in a low voice. "You have awakened something ancient and evil, something that has lain dormant for centuries. The creature you saw is known as the Dark Watcher. It is an entity of pure darkness that feeds on fear and despair." She explained that the villagers had unknowingly opened a portal to another dimension, allowing the Dark Watcher to enter our world. Now it was using their fears to grow stronger. Desperately, Elias asked if there was any way to stop it. The woman replied, "There is a ritual, a way to seal the portal and banish the Dark Watcher back to where it came from. But it is dangerous. If performed incorrectly, it could unleash the full force of its power, plunging the world into eternal darkness." She looked at him, her eyes filled with concern. "I cannot do it myself. The ritual requires a pure heart, someone untouched by the darkness. You must be the sacrifice." Though terrified, Elias knew he couldn't leave the fate of the world to anyone else. Accepting his destiny, he set about gathering the necessary supplies. With a woman's guidance, he prepared for the ritual, his hands shaking as he arranged the candles and herbs in a circle on the cabin floor. As twilight deepened into night, he stepped into the center, facing the dark void from which the Watcher had emerged. Drawing a deep breath, he began the chant, his voice echoing through the silent woods. He chanted, "In the depths of night, when shadows dance, I call upon the ancient light, banish darkness, grant release." The air grew heavy, charged with a palpable energy as the ritual reached its climax. Suddenly, the Watcher materialized before him, its eyes blazing with hatred. "You cannot defeat me, child," it hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "Your world will be plunged into eternal darkness." With a deafening roar, it lunged, its claws extended, ready to tear him asunder. But as it struck, Elias felt a surge of power course through him. The Watcher recoiled, shrieking in agony. With a final burst of strength, Elias banished it back to the void from which it had come. The portal seeping shut, the Watcher's enraged screams echoed around them before fading into silence. The ritual complete, Elias collapsed, his body racked with tremors as the darkness receded. Beside him, the woman watched, her face pale with worry. When he finally stirred, she rushed to his side, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You have saved us all," she whispered, helping him to his feet. But as Elias gazed into her grateful eyes, he saw a flicker of something else, something dark and hungry. With a jolt, he realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had unleashed an even greater evil. The woman's skin was sickly pale, almost translucent, revealing the twisted, thorny vines writhing beneath. Her eyes, once warm and welcoming, now glowed with a menacing red light. The Dark Watcher had possessed the woman, using her pure heart to gain a foothold in this world. And as it turned to face him, its presence suffocating all hope, Elias knew he had failed. In the struggle to banish the Dark Watcher, he had unwittingly unleashed a new and even greater evil upon the world. Trapped in a nightmare of his own making, he could only watch in horror as the darkness consumed everything around him. The forest, once a place of solace and beauty, was now a cursed hunting ground, and he was its unwilling prey.